Hello and welcome to the Bundesliga Show, the Match Week 20 review of the 2025-26 season. And as you can see, just like last Thursday, I'm joined by our very own Peter Weiss as well over there in the States. We've got a lot coming for you today as well. I know Peter's been looking forward to telling you about the transfer roundup as well. That's going to be one of the main focuses of tonight's show. We're also going to talk about the Horst Steffen firing as well from Werder Bremen, the not so surprising firing of Steffen. And then we're going to also do a kind of like casual roundup of week 20 as well. Not in too much detail, but we are going to talk about a few of the key games of that as well. So yeah, before we get started, just don't forget that we are in partnership with Covert Footy Trips, Rich's fantastic company over there in Norwich. He's been sending people to some brilliant locations recently. I'm quite jealous as a travel enthusiast as well. I'm quite jealous. He's been over in Georgia. He's been in some really kind of exotic locations. Como as well over in Italy. So get your trips booked. He's booking, I think he's also booking them in the UK as well now. He's sending people to Premier League games as well. So it works both ways. He sends British people overseas and overseas people to Britain, basically. So yeah, it works both ways. Check him out as well. Don't forget as well, we're also in partnership with Runa's Bully News as well. So don't forget to check out bullynews.com for all of your English language Bundesliga news. So yeah, Peter, obviously it's going to be pretty much straight over to you today. So tell us what's happened. It's obviously the transfer window slammed shut yesterday evening. And obviously, it's been a long month of action. Obviously, some clubs more in need than others of transfers during this January, and also a little bit of February too. So go on, where are we at then? Tell us a little bit. Oh, I know you were writing hard over there for German Football News. So tell us, what did you discover yesterday then?
Well, all of my colleagues were working exceptionally hard, not just myself, but also all of my friends over at Bully News and all of the people that I've met along this journey of covering the Bundesliga beat. Transfer deadline day gets more insane every time around, of course. So we're all good and exhausted. Some of us took the day off today. Some of us didn't. But in any event, God, I mean, where should I start? I mean, you're, of course, talking with a man who writes a full 18-club transfer primer every January window. Off the top of my head, we could have perhaps prepared for this, but I would say that the three most intriguing windows that I found were Hamburger SV. Hamburger SV confirmed a lot of transactions, particularly towards the end of the window. And what was very, very interesting about this is that my boy, Stefan Kunz, the former Kaiserslautern captain, had to resign in disgrace just prior to the start of the transfer window. So sporting director Klaus Costa and Dr. Eric Hewer, who is merely the chief financial officer for Hamburg, they had to band together and do it together. And I was very, very impressed with their window, particularly on deadline day. I'd like to give credit to Pierman Schwegler. He is the new Wolfsburg sporting director. Wolfsburg has become something of a running joke, particularly considering the fact that they are operating under financial constraints. They are a company club, but they're not bankrolled by a company as large as pharmaceutical giant Bayer or this Austrian soft drink empire or something. So they found themselves rebuffed, in particular in search for help in central defense. And some of our English viewers may be aware of the fact that Charlie Creswell was a target of theirs. They weren't able to get him. They were rejected on a number of fronts. But as the deadline came to a close, they were able to get two quality center backs in after some wheeling and dealing and wrangling, and I thought that was quite impressive. So I've mentioned Hamburger SV, I've mentioned Wolfsburg. I would also like to give credit to Augsburg. Now, in typical Augsburg fashion, they did not really focus on squad balance. This new sporting director, Benny Weber, might as well be like Marinko Jurendic or even Stefan Reuter, in the sense that he signed so many strikers. It was absolutely ridiculous. If you want to ask me about the biggest shock of transfer deadline day, I would say Stuttgart reservist Thomas Castanar.
Yeah, I think we saw him. Didn't we see him as well for the Stuttgart Schwei? I think we saw them for the second Stuttgart team in that game when they got thrashed against Dortmund.
Actually, I think he was hurt at that time. Not only is Castanaris, he has not played a Bundesliga game since under Bruno Labbadia in 2022, and he's been mostly hurt over the last 4 years. So for Augsburg to unveil him as a deadline day signing, I thought that was just strange and ridiculous.
Bizarre.
Yeah, bizarre it was. Augsburg, of course, did sign. They put in some money into this Uchene Ugundu, who they got from the Turkish Super League. He was quite interesting. And their loan signings are already reaping dividends. Yannick Keitel, Arthur Chavez, and our boy Michael Grigoric, who I believe on the prediction show we were saying had done nothing. He scored a brace. So let's see. We've got Hamburg SV, Wolfsburg, Augsburg. I already mentioned what was the most surprising transfer on transfer deadline day from a German perspective. Of course, for those who also follow the Premiership, the Premier League, I should say, the biggest surprise was Branchen-Gruda out of nowhere, coming back to RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig seemed content to just go with prospective signings, and all of a sudden on transfer deadline day, they came out of nowhere with that one. In terms of the most intriguing window, we'll go with probably Eintracht Frankfurt, who, when the window initially opened, signed these two Germans of Moroccan descent that you and I were talking a little bit about on the AFCON watch along as we watched Morocco in the final. Different subject there. But they got a couple of good players. Ebnu Talib is a very good player. He unfortunately got hurt. And our boy Ejkuyab was a super sub, scoring on his first two substitute appearances. Of course, when one discusses Eintracht Frankfurt, one also has to discuss the coaching change. And I've written quite a bit on Albert Riera. We were talking a little bit about this on Thursday as well. I find it highly intriguing that a German club has gone for a coach that does not speak any German. This is very, very rare in the German Bundesliga. We talked about how, with Bayern, with Pep Guardiola and Carlo Ancelotti, they were hired 6 months prior to their official appointment, so they were given some time to wrap their tongue around the language. Riera's press conference today, I know English-speaking people who are very, very excited about him, but Germans are a little bit more tepid. He talks a good game, but he doesn't speak German, and there's only one player of Spanish descent on the Frankfurt squad, and that is Ejkuyab, who already speaks German because he's been in Germany for 5 years. What else? Kudos to Mainz, who have brought in, Geraldo Becker is back in the Bundesliga. He has been reunited with Urs Fischer. There was some talk of getting Taiwo Awoniyi in there, but at the end of the day, they got Becker. One of the most important transfers of the window is, of course, bringing Stefan Posch back to the Bundesliga to stabilize the Mainz defensive line. That's very interesting and highly intriguing. St. Pauli had quite the active window. They've signed 2 Japanese internationals. We now have Fujita in midfield, Ando in the defensive ranks, and this Hariri guy who could lead the attack potentially. So St. Pauli have Domo Arigato. They've gone the way of the samurai. Big surprise there at Union Berlin, in that neither Diego Light nor Danilo Doecki, both of them on expiring contracts, are not going anywhere. And of course, when we talk about that, we also have to talk about the fact that Raheem Sterling was off to Union Berlin after his release from Chelsea. That's quite intriguing. People say that it was a quiet transfer window from some of the giants. Of course, Leipzig brought in Gruda, and that was about it. Bayern basically just moved a lot of different loan signings around. You see the power of the Bayern campus, of course. We have a new gentleman who's going to be working for Köln. Now he's joined Köln on loan. The midfielder name is, what is his name? Pepe. Anyways, there's a lot of FC Bayern Munich campus products that were moved around. 2 of them were loaned out to the Serie A. 2 of them were loaned out to the Zweite Bundesliga. Darmstadt got one, and
Nuremberg got the other one, actually.
They did. And Köln got the other kid who's, I mean, you have to excuse me here. I think I'm doing it. Yes, Felipe Chavez is the kid's name. And of course, the Brian Zaragoza loan move I thought was very, very interesting from an administrative perspective, because they had to compensate Celta Vigo for terminating the loan early. Then they got him over to AS Rome. They built in this automatic purchase clause into the agreement and all that stuff. I mean, Bayern, administratively, no big signings, but administratively they did very, very well in that they were, able to move these loan signings around. They actually shook up the campus a little bit with with a new hire from Nuremberg, this Wiesinger character who's going to take over, and I think they're going to let ex-Nuremberg coach Markus Weinziel go. That was all very interesting. Hoffenheim brought in a lot of prospects for the third or the Dritte Liga side, the third division reserve. Of course, they had to replace Eshkuyab, who was the Dritte Liga star. He was their leading goal scorer. So I found it kind of interesting that they brought in Yannick Eduardo, who was the Leipzig guy he's Czech Angolan who grew up in Holland, and they had loaned him out to Holland 3 times. So his Dutch second division side exercised the purchase option, and then they flipped him over to Hoffenheim for a big profit. That was interesting. When it comes to Hoffenheim, I mean, they finally streamlined what was this huge 38 man roster during the summer. And they're one of the best teams in the Bundesliga, both in terms of sporting performances, but also in how they're run administratively. And they got rid of all of the pieces of dead weight on their ledger. Best of luck to Dennis Geiger in Aberdeen. As a matter of fact, as I was working yesterday, I was like, how many freaking Scottish transfers are we going to have this window?
Yeah, the link between Germany and Scotland is growing, isn't it? Yeah, it really is. But Dennis Geiger to Aberdeen, that is such a bizarre one. Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago, he was linked with the Germany national team, wasn't he? He was getting flirted with that. And, to go to, I mean, okay, if you go to Celtic or Rangers, it's one thing, but Aberdeen are not even a top Scottish team,
Well, really, there's just been a lot of coverage. I mean, we have also Adamu going to Celtic and
exactly.
Joining Kvankara, who is also there.
Yeah, Kvankara, I can't believe it.
Yeah, and so I mean, and then there's Naderi, the third division striker from Rostock, whom the Rangers purchased for. Yeah,
I saw that.
I mean, it was insane, really. And then, I mean, if you want to talk about the Scottish Premiership. And I believe you can call that the Premiership, even though you can't anymore. What about Alexander Schwolo?
Hearts. Table-topping Hearts as well. Let's not forget that.
So I've been doing so much reporting on the Scottish Premiership and the links between the Bundesliga that I think you and we just need to go on an adventure there in the Highlands and go scout these former Bundesliga players. And of course, the Scottish title race is so fascinating because, I mean, has a non-Edinburgh team, or has a
non-Glasgow,
non-Glaswegian team won in 40 years or something?
I believe the last one was Aberdeen under no other than Sir Alex Ferguson, actually. And that was in the 80s. That was the mid-80s before he went to Man United. So, it's 40 years, basically,
So you and I have to go to Edinburgh, and we have to go see Alexander Schwolo, and we have to see if are going to...
It's almost like the SPL. In England, we normally call it the SPL, the Scottish Premier. I don't know, but is it the Scottish Premiership? I think it is, but for some reason we call it the SPL. But it is officially the Premiership. But anyway, I think they're trying to sign all of the Bundesliga transfer bus basically the last few years. Kvankara, Adamu, Schwolo. It's just. But I mean, at that level, they look good. That's the thing. Kvankara's already got his first goal under his belt, I believe, for for Celtics. So there you go. Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to go, Mark. We'll simply have to go.
We will. Yeah. I mean, it would be cool. But yeah, thanks for that little transfer roundup. We got a lot of great information there. I think as for me, you already covered most of the stories that I was thinking about. I think Mainz, I want to reiterate that Mainz have had a great window and they look in a good position now. They've definitely backed Urs Fischer. I think the signing, the deadline day signing of Geraldo Becker was a real kind of rabbit out of the hat, because I mean he's a player that was brilliant for Union. Let's not forget that, and I feel as though he's born to play in the Bundesliga. He's got the pace. It's a pity they couldn't got Awoniyi as well, and I think if they could have got him, they'd be absolutely flying right now. But yeah, definitely a good signing there. I think also the signing of Silas, obviously we saw get a really good goal, what turned out to be the winner. And great to see him coming back to the Bundesliga. Another man who I always thought was a bit unlucky to lose his place at Stuttgart, because once he came back from injury, he seemed to be doing quite well again. And I think he's another smart signing as well. I think also Posch, of course, is a very competent Bundesliga centre-half, formerly of Hoffenheim. And I think obviously didn't quite make it in Serie A, but it seems to be quite a marquee signing for them as well. Philip Tietz, maybe not quite so much of a marquee signing, but still, like we mentioned him on the show on Thursday, like he's going to give 210% for that team every game. And like he might not be the classiest centre forward in the world, but he's going to work. He's going to work hard.
We mentioned that, Tietz made Hollerbach look better by comparison. Yeah. And of course,
but now Hollerbach's got injured.
Yeah, that's the problem, which is why they pulled out that excellent transfer. And on the topic of strikers who are out for the season, Pretension for my FC Kaiserslautern is out, and I don't know why. I mean, we got Mergen Berisha for free, but it's my personal opinion that they should pay us money.
That is true. I mean, he's not going to get out on the pitch, to be honest. I don't think, but yeah. Definitely. I think the other team, again, as often they do, Augsburg have pulled out yet another good transfer window. I mean, nobody can deny that their transfer team, the administrative board has been overperforming for years, really, there now. I mean, they really have, like every single window in summer and in January, they pull out some superb transfers. And I think... I'm not going to say the Castellanos one is really one that stands off the board, but Arthur Chavez has been superb in his first 2 games. I think Ogunda as well is one that really, the youngster they signed from Turkey, he looks to be a real prospect. 4.5 million euros was dispensed of him from Nigeria. So they needed that striker, and that's what Augsburg do. That's what I like about the transfer. They kind of plug the gaps, and okay, sometimes they spend quite a bit of money for a small club, and we've talked before about the possible outside investment that they get from that firm. But I mean, when you compare them to the other teams of a similar size, they do spend money, this FCR club. Like every window, they chalk out quite a few big transfers. So we'll have to see whether that'll kind of inspire Manuel Baum's side to climb well away from the dogfight. But so far, it's looking quite good for them at the minute. As you say, Keitel has been a good signing for them. Grigoric, I mean, 2 classic poachers goals really at the weekend as well. So yeah, definitely can't complain about what they've done. I think probably Leverkusen will be a little bit disappointed they couldn't get anyone in, because they've not really kind of pulled up any trees. I think Belosian to Wolfsburg, I think you kind of mentioned it, Peter, before, is a great signing for them. I think he got unlucky. He got injured very early on in his career at Leverkusen. I think from what I'd seen, he'd always looked quite good, to be honest. And I think we're going to finally see him come to terms now at Wolfsburg and start getting some first-team football for me.
Yeah. I mean, that was what they had to do with that one, is they had to get Tim Uhrmann back from Sturm Graz, swing that loan. And Wolfsburg not only got Belosian, which should be a good signing, but they also got this Jonas Ajiti in from Basel at the same time, and that was and Basel that day. They of course also lost this Otele to Hamburg. And,
they did.
So I mean, I'm impressed with the Wolfsburg administrative team that they were able to get a $10 million central defender in at the last moment, along with swinging the Belosian role. You know what? I mentioned Hamburg at the top, but I didn't really talk in detail about what they were able to do. And what they were able to do was very impressive. They brought in Otele, they brought in Grönbeck, Damian Downs. He hasn't hit stride just yet, but with Grönbeck and Otele, they have two wingers that they can use, which is a good thing because Jean-Luc Dompe is been placed on gardening leave, as you like to call it. And they also brought in a new striker. They were called Otto Stange.
They did. Yeah.
From Elversberg early. And Otto Stange, like a lot of other players at Elversberg, whether Horst Steffen is coaching them or not, is really thriving. And so they've all three attacking positions on the top axis, they've refreshed. And that's very, very impressive what they've been able to do there. And the Elversberg deal, they offloaded. They were going to send Emmanuel Ferrari to Nuremberg, but at the last moment they worked out that transfer, that loan swap with Elversberg, and I thought that was really clever. That was really good. And that's coming from, again, guys. Klaus Costa was just the sporting director. Stefan Kunst was the man who called the shot until all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this stuff gets thrown in Klaus Costa's lap. And so, I mean, that's really what they were able to do in this window. And I mean, we can talk about Hamburg from a sporting perspective too. I mean, Kunst did bring in Vuskovic.
One of the signings of the summer, really, if not the signing of the summer, probably not far off teams of the season, really, in many ways. I think he's been that good. He's just been an absolute revelation for them. But unfortunately, they're going to struggle to keep him beyond this year, obviously, just being a loan as well.
Yeah, I think he'll probably sign for Bayern next year.
But no, I think, isn't he from Tottenham? I think he's on loan from Tottenham, so I'm pretty sure that he's going to go straight into Tottenham's team, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Bayern can pay 40 million.
True.
That was insane. His estimated market value was something like 2.5 mil when he came, up to 40 million now. And let's not forget that it not just Vuskovic, but also Lokonga and Vieira, the Arsenal players. So Stefan Kunst he had the biggest blockbuster summer transfer window, and his ad hoc replacements really, really impressed during the winter transfer window in what they were able to swing.
Definitely, yeah. But for me, just one last thing on the transfers, Peter, before we move on to the next talking point today. I'm going to give my team of this of the winter transfer window, and then my dud of the transfer window. So I'm going to go for my team of the window was Mainz. I think they brought in 4 or 5 first team standard players who are probably all going to get regular games. And we've already seen Silas score that brilliant winner at Leipzig this weekend. And I think he's going to deliver more alongside Geraldo Becker. It looks like exciting times in Mainz again. Let's not forget they've still got Conference League as well. And I think they're going to cruise to survival, to be honest with you. And I can see them challenging in the Conference League as well. So yeah, exciting times in Rheinhessen. My duds of the month, I hate to say it, but it's a team we're going to talk about next. It's Werder Bremen. I just think they've only managed to bring in Milosevic from Stuttgart. Okay, he's already had an impact. He got that goal, didn't he? But I just don't see... they needed more after what they've delivered this first, 20 games. For me, they needed more, and they've just not been. It's just been a catastrophe the entire season for them, really. Obviously the whole Boniface debacle, and then they brought in a few good players in the last window, like Sugawara has been good, but a lot of them have just been duds, basically, haven't they? And I just feel as though they're in real trouble. We'll talk more about that later. But Peter, who would you give your team of the window and duds of the window?
I will give it to Hamburg. I think that what they've been able to do should enable them to avoid relegation. And my dud is the same as yours. It is Werder Bremen. And we talked about the Werder Bremen loan curse. We've talked about it many, many times on this show. It's not just Boniface, but also players like Rafael Santos Borre or Andre Silva or even Maximilian Philippe, if you want to put it there. I mean, this is where attackers go on loan to die, is Werder Bremen. And of course, we cannot forget the fact that Clemens Fritz embarrassingly did not, and the front office. Now, Clemens Fritz He actually came up through the KSC Academy. I saw him when he was just a wee lad playing for the KSC in the Zweite Bundesliga back at the turn of the century. And then, of course, he went on to have a pretty good playing career, but he was never the sharpest cookie, or sharpest knife, I should say. I don't know how I got cookie in there. Mixing my metaphors. I mean, the scandal was, of course, that he assumed that Bremen had already hit their loan quota based on the fact that they had 6 loans, when in reality, the UEFA regulations stipulate that you can have 6 loan players from the domestic league, Bundesliga, and 6 from abroad. And this is embarrassing. I covered this story. I mean, he was informed by Transfermarkt. It was Transfermarkt that actually said, no, Fritz is incorrect. And he's admitted this. He admitted this mistake. The Werder Bremen fans put up a little banner that said, like, Fritz verleihen. They've also started a petition to get Clemens Fritz out. I was reporting on this story the day, or match day on Saturday. The petition has collected 3,600 signatures and counting. Now, this being something of a Hanseatic Bremen thing, they have to get 7,000 signatures, and then the board will hold a meeting to decide if they will hold another meeting. So,
sounds very German to me.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, this particular Hanseatic city-state is very democratic. It's very Alexis Tocquevillian, almost, if you want to do an American reference there, French-American reference. So, they do their Cracker Barrel, they do their town meeting, they do all of this stuff. All of it's sort of done together. And a good example of this is how they kept Florian Kofeld in that job for 2 years beyond how long he should have been there. There was always a summit meeting. And then the summit meeting would decide that they were going to have another meeting and things like this. So I was somewhat surprised. I wasn't surprised to see Horst Steffen sacked on Sunday morning, because I believe that they probably learned their lesson from those horrible Kofeld years. Of course, I wasn't surprised based on Horst Steffen's post-match statements. I mean, Fritz declined to back him. He said, whenever you're conducting a post-match interview and the sporting director or the licensing director, whoever it is, says, well, first we have to let this sink in and discuss it, that means the coach is getting sacked. Those are code words for, unless they explicitly back the coach is getting sacked. Yeah. And so I knew that Steffen was done. I covered Steffen's press conference. He looked so sad, the reporters asked him directly. They were like, Clemens Fritz didn't back you. And what do you think? Because they had lost, they hadn't won in 10 fixtures. And he looked awful. And then he did ARD Sportschau. And he just looked, you have to realize, and we talked about this on our head coaching show, this guy is, how old is this guy? 57 or something like this? And he's been waiting his entire life to coach a Bundesliga Mannschaft. He's never coached one before. He's always been in the lower divisions. So he waited a very, very long time to realize his dream, and dream didn't last very long.
Yeah. Just a few details. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Peter. Obviously his kind of most famous years came at Elversberg, where, let's be honest, he did a really good job. Nobody can deny that. At Elversberg, he took them from the Regionalliga Südwest into the Dritte Liga, got them promoted both times, and was just one goal at the back end away from getting the kind of famous 3 promotions, really. Not in a row, but in the space of 5 years or so it would have been. Obviously, he was tapped up by Bremen, and it looked as though he finally got his dream move, but it just didn't. Right from the transfer window, to be honest, in the summer, there were just so many bad moments in there. It looked as though it had been saved on deadline day by the kind of, at the time, marquee signing of Victor Boniface, but that turned out to be his kryptonite in the end, really, didn't it? It was his the kind of start of his downfall, the fact that he was barely able to get the big man on the pitch, let alone, scoring goals. It was just a disaster from day one. Early doors, Peter, we were saying, why isn't Boniface on the pitch? But it just never, I think he started, 2 or 3 games in the whole time he's been there. It's just not enough, basically. His record, obviously, 21 games in all competitions, only 4 wins, all coming in the league. Let's not forget they also got that defeat in the Pokal first round against Bielefeld as well, which, you know, you were already thinking the writing was on the wall at that point, and that came in August, you know, which is a long time ago from now. He only ended up winning 4 games, losing 10, drawing 7. He ended up with a win rate of just 19%, which is way below. You know, most managers aim for like between 35 and 40% if you're managing like a non-big team. And he didn't even come close. He didn't even get half of 40% in the end. So, yeah, Peter, I mean, I think both of us tipped him to struggle, to be honest. I think you hit the nail on the head. You said at the age of what? How old is he? I can confirm that for you now. He is
55?
56 years old now, and turning 57 in just a month, by the way. And the fact that he's been a head coach for 20 years as well. He's been a head coach for 20 years, and this is the first time anyone's given him a punt as a
Elversberg are backed by money. I mean, they are a Saarland club. They're neighbors to Kaiserslautern. Actually, I know a guy who lives in Elversberg, and I was, you know, he told me all about the club and how it's, you know, it's backed by some local companies and things like this. So they have a good investment there, and they also had this loan pipeline with Bayern and with Hoffenheim. Yeah. And that's how that, you know, Nick Voltemada played there, Fisnek Aslani played there. This is Steffen really, I mean, he had an excellent pipeline of talent coming into that club. And that's, you know, because of the money and because of the connections. And so this was a club that was really a nothing club, a village club, until the money came, you know, pouring into it. We were very suspicious of the Steffen firing, not so suspicious as we were of Paul Simonis, whom doing a show with Rory, and he had already forgotten Paul Simonis' name. I mean, I wonder if any of us are going to remember it in a few years' time.
Will he even get another job? Let's be honest.
Right. But let's not forget the failure of the administration. Okay, this Boniface loan, this was trouble from the start. Boniface was supposed to go to Milan. They didn't want to take him because he failed his damn medical.
Yeah.
Not only did he fail the medical, and they were convinced that his leg hadn't healed right from the surgery, but they saw that he was out of shape, and they saw that he was losing his freaking mind. I mean, we've been tracking on this story about Victor Boniface's Instagram posts all throughout this, you know, the season. And so, I mean, this was a dumb move, and there's been so many dumb moves by this administration. I mean, we talked about the loan curse. I'll say it again: Rafael Santos Borre, Andre Silva, Maximilian Philippe. What about Naby Keita? Again, you're picking up damaged goods, and you're trying to present it as some sort of a marquee signing for your club. So, when it comes to Werder Bremen's head coaching search at the moment, it's not surprising to me at all that Bo Svensson turned them down, because you look at this administration, and Clemens Fritz and Peter Niemeyer have simply not. I mean, Frank Baumann was an excellent manager. He's now at Schalke and doing a very, very good job there. Schalke had a wonderful deadline day thanks to his stewardship. But when Frank Baumann left, Clemens Fritz got promoted from the sporting director to the licensing chief. And he has simply not done a good job in any of his signings. And what coach wants to be hired by licensing director and sporting director that may very well be about to get fired?
Yeah.
Nobody wants this. That's why, I mean, who wants this job at this point?
Well, that's where I wanted to bring you to. I mean, who is going to take it over? Because I believe they've already appointed an interim at the moment. But, I mean, to be honest, from what we've learned from some of the other clubs, interims, like obviously Gladbach went for Polanski, and that's just so underwhelming. I mean, it just feels like a wasted season for Gladbach. And the same for Wolfsburg as well with Daniel Bauer. Like, they got a couple of good results before they were appointed, but surely Werder can't go down the same route, because, I mean, these signings just don't tend to work out, do they? I mean, surely Werder have got to be a bit more ambitious. Otherwise, they're going to be, say they go in for a kind of low energy signing just to tie them over for the season, then For me, Werder's squad is bad enough at the minute to get relegated. I think it's possible. Like with the difference between Wolfsburg and Gladbach is that they got more natural quality on the roster, Whereas with Werder, if they don't get a decent coach, and for me, they could go down right now.
Absolutely. And I tipped, of course, when I, tipped the start of the season, I actually had Werder in last place based on their problems during the summer transfer window. They were ravaged by injuries, and they could not, Fritz and the gang, they could not get decent signings in. Eventually, and they had this disastrous start to the season. So I actually tipped them to be in last place, and that was for and I changed my tune a little bit when they brought in Sugawara, because I thought that's a good signing, and I thought that Schmidt would be a good signing too. Fortunately, not. He hasn't panned out. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They factor into the relegation race. I would put Wolfsburg in there too, although, as I mentioned earlier, Wolfsburg did do a good job of closing out the transfer window, getting the central defensive help they need, also holding on to the players that they needed to as well. We talk about these interim coaching regimes. That's happened now 3 times in the Bundesliga this season. Quite atypical. Polanski was not supposed to get a permanent appointment, but considering the fact that they then decided to fire Roland Werkes, they were without a sporting director. He got more time. They said, "Okay, we'll go with it." Same thing happened in Wolfsburg. They fired Sebastian Schindlerz, and there was no sporting director. And Bauer got a little bit of extra time, and then they said, "Okay, we'll go ahead and roll with it." Same thing, to a certain extent, happened in Augsburg. Even though they didn't fire any of the management, they've only signed Baum to a short-term contract. One way or the other after the season, I don't know. Then maybe he extends, but he's only got a 6-month contract. So his job is just basically to do that. So what do we do here with Bremen? Fritz is already on record as saying he wants an external solution. He doesn't want to promote interim guys. But if he actually gets ousted, then it is possible that the interim regime gets more time and people say, "Okay, we'll go with something homegrown here." To reiterate, I don't know about this Eintracht Frankfurt choice with Riera. I just don't. Everybody's fired up about this press conference and things like that. I'm not impressed. This guy, he's spitting all sorts of fire and stuff like this. But I'm sorry. What happens when you what happens when you have to explain a loss to the German media and you only have your tongue around 4 or 5 German words? He's going to get pilloried in the press. So they want an external solution. Svensson has already turned them down. I think they've given up on Bo Henriksen. They were looking at both Mainz Danish rescuers. If I were Bo Henriksen, I'm not taking this job. Bo Henriksen works great for a town like Mainz, small town, small market, carnival, goofball, all of that stuff. He would get his lunch eaten at the Weserstadion. That's simply too big a club for somebody like him. He shouldn't take that job. There's some talk about Martin Demichelis perhaps coming in. He does speak German. He played for Bayern. He even managed the Bayern reserves for a little while. That would be a pretty good get, I suppose, if they can convince him to join this project. As a German journalist, I have a request to my German journalistic colleagues. Will you guys stop calling up Felix Magath every time there's a freaking coaching opportunity in the Bundesliga? I'm so tired of reporting on this. This is ridiculous. They call him up every time, and they're like, "Felix, do you still want to work?" He's 72 years old now. He's like, yeah, of course I still want to work. I'm happy. Nobody wants you, Felix. He's down there at Aschaffenburg, where, Leonard Karl's club, Tom Bischof's hometown. Just be content to be there. Shut up. Nobody wants Felix Magath. Yeah. When the name Bruno Labbadia popped up, I'm just like, oh, for God's sake.
There's just a kind of merry-go-round of some of those guys, isn't there? Yeah. Maybe even Friedhelm Funkel will be the next one. The true Feuerwehr man. Yeah.
Funkel, if I were Funkel, I wouldn't take the job either. Really, I mean, that's the problem, is that you're going to be placed in a position where management above you is on shaky ground. The people who hired you, the people who backed you, could be gone in a couple of weeks. Now, there is an example of that actually working out well, in that you remember that Horst Held hired Stefan Baumgart at Köln. He was sacked within a couple of weeks, so Baumgart had to deal with a new managerial regime, and he did pretty well in Köln for his first couple of years. So, I mean, there are examples of how that can work, but I don't know. I don't. It's difficult to wrap one's head around who would be a good fit for this job in a year where a lot of Bundesliga clubs are going with a younger interim trainer, and rightly so. You know, I actually Nenad Bjelica's name cropped up in the room.
Yeah, that'll be the final straw. Yeah. Let's just bring in as well. We've got a nice moment here. We've actually got a Werder fan checking into the chat. Let's bring him in. Yeah, my main feeling now as a Werder fan, we should have given Horst Steffen some more time and 2-3 new players that fit the Horst system. Yeah, what a big mess we're in. Yeah, definitely in a big mess right now. And also, bringing one of our fan favorites on the show as well, Mr. Florian Kofeld and Thomas Schaaf as well. Yeah, bring in Schaaf back. Yeah, he's a true legend.
Schaaf, the last time it was both Schaaf and Kofeld. I mean, so look, Kofeld, ridiculous. I mean, he won the relegation playoff against Heidenheim at the end of the 2019-20, that was the COVID delayed season. And then they stuck with him, even though he was so horrible the entire spring of 2021. And they had these endless summit meetings, and then they finally got rid of him. And it was Thomas Schaaf who took over on the last day of the season. And, you know, the problem with Thomas Schaaf is that tactically, he always has to have this rhombus. He's so predictable. He builds this rhombus every time. That's his shape. So I really don't know. I mean, it's really, and I mean, the Steffen system, I mean, we talked a lot about management and how they really did fail to get the right players. And you have bad injury luck too. I mean, look, think about what would happen with this team if Mitchell Weiser had been fit this season. I mean, that made a huge difference. And Felix Agu also struggling with injury. That's why I tipped them last at the beginning of the season, because they're fullback / wingback.
Köln, let's not forget the Köln loss as well, which didn't help. Well, I mean, they didn't want to fork out, what was it, 4 million for him at the beginning. Then obviously he joined Union Berlin. I mean, maybe they'll be regretting that one as well.
Okay, Maximilian Werber could have been. I mean, he had the former Werder Bremen player that they got on loan from Leeds. Very, very enthusiastic about German football and playing in the Bundesliga. You know, he's been unavailable this entire season. I actually feel like Amos Pieper had a good camp. I know that Amos Pieper kind of, you know, when you say Amos Pieper or Niklas Stark, you know, a lot of people kind of laugh because they're like, yeah, these are these Germany U21 players that were never good enough to make the leap. But I mean, they're still very good players. And if they, you know, the fact that they've been hurt is bad luck. The Boniface signing was doomed from the start. Absolutely. And they didn't have to let players, you know, actually, they didn't have to let Ole Werner go at the end of last season. They could have made an active effort to extend his contract. The same applies to Marvin Duksch. They made no effort to resign Marvin Duksch. That's why
the Voltemada gate as well. Yeah, when he left the club to join Stuttgart.
Precisely. So and then who's the guy who's at Freiburg now, who was with Werder for years.
Oh, Dingchi. Yeah.
Dingchi was he
was also at Werder. He's just gone to Heidenheim on loan. Actually,
okay, actually that's huge. Yes, he's gone back to Heidenheim on loan. Why didn't Werder try to get him on loan? Freiburg were actively shopping him, and Werder were not even linked with him. Is what I was thinking about. Actually, the defender that I'm thinking about at Freiburg now, the veteran defender who was with Werder for years, Oh God damn it! Now that
Eggestein was also from Werder as well, right?
he
But
was
he's Anthony Young. Anthony Young, yeah.
Anthony Young is the one I'm thinking about. Absolutely. They made no effort to extend with him, or Veljkovic was another one who they just let go.
Yeah. It's been mismanagement there for too long, hasn't it? Like the last two and a half seasons, really, it's just been complete mismanagement from a transfer perspective.
Yeah, what about why not sign Leonardo Bittencourt to at least a 1-year contract extension? It'll boost morale. He can he can make a good contribution to the team, even if he's not as fast now or can't play regularly on the pitch. I mean, to just the way that they're treating him by not giving him an extension offer is wrong. It's piss poor management, and I think that this petition against Fritz is going to continue to collect signatures, and they can delay it bureaucratically for as long as they want. But I think that it's tough to see him lasting out the season. If Werder really slip into the relegation race, which I think they are, they'll eventually sack him too. And we'll just have to see.
Let us know what you think as well. The Werder fan in the chat, should Clemens Fritz be fired as well as director? Let us know what you think as well. Obviously, live on the house, so to speak. So I just want to move on to the final talking point today as well, and that was just a kind of quick review of the match week 20, really. So obviously, I think the big result is that Joshua Kimmich's usual we're going to bounce back didn't happen, did it, in this particular game? And I think a lot of credit has got to go to the HSV for this game. Obviously, they played a fantastic performance. Our boy Vuskovic, once again, standing out in the performance. We mentioned that one of the kind of signings of the season, one of the players of the season in the entire league, and without doubt, Hamburg's most impressive performer over the season. There were others as well, the likes of Lokonga has had a really good season. Vieira has grown into the season, obviously scored in this game as well. So, yeah, Peter, but I just wanted to focus on Bayern a little bit too. So is it a case, is it time to worry a little bit about Bayern? Obviously, it's now 2 games in a row without a win against Augsburg and HSV. They've not picked up a win in those games. Obviously, only 6 points now ahead of the kind of, how would you describe Dortmund? I mean, they just managed to find a way to win almost every week. Every week you think this Dortmund side isn't anything special, but they just keep plucking away wins. And the 3-2 win over Heidenheim was no different over the weekend. Obviously 2-1 behind in that game with more than 3/4 of the game finished, but somehow managed to win that one too. So, Peter, do we have a title race, or Bayern is going to go ahead and run away with it, do you think?
No, I'm absolutely not convinced that we have a title race at all. Bayern Dortmund is due at the end of the month. So if Bayern continue to drop points, there may be a chance for Dortmund to overhaul. Dortmund have been far too inconsistent this season. Hamburg, as I mentioned at the top of the show, is the team the club that I thought had the best transfer window. You want to talk about a horrible transfer window? I don't know how we didn't get to this, but I mean, look at Dortmund.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
So, not only just losing Pascal Gross, but the way they handled the Anselmino situation, I just thought was such sour grapes. I mean, posting the video of this kid crying and everything, and they've got problems all up and through it. I mean, Niko Kovac and Karim Adeyemi and Jude Bellingham are having problems.
Job, do you remember Job nowadays? Not Jude.
Excuse me. Sorry, my bad.
But I think they'd wish that they had Jude back, to be honest. Not Job.
Indeed, and it's. Yeah, I mean, they did. There's so many loose threads in Dortmund where things can fall apart. I mean, you have Griassi's in inconsistent form. You just have all of these players who cannot put together a decent streak. So many of them so mediocre. The failure to address the losses of the transfer window, particularly at center back. And just all the problems. Karim Adeyemi's mystery box, Papa Bellingham coming and yelling at Sebastian Kehl, and Dortmund's never been a well-managed club. They always have too many bosses in that damn front office. ridiculous. I don't know why they need 2 sporting directors. It doesn't make any sense. And Bayern are, I mean, let's just face it, this is a historically good team. And they didn't play badly at Hamburg at all. That was just simply that was a great match. But I don't. There was a single player who I thought was terrible. Maybe apart from Davies, who still is coming back from injury, and Upamecano, who was being pilloried by Uli Hoeneß about, are you going to sign your contract extension or not, and stuff like that. He seemed a little bit distracted. But, I mean, I'm not convinced that we have a title race at all. I mean, unfortunately, the team of the moment, the best team in the Bundesliga is Hoffenheim. And that's much to my chagrin. And I've mentioned that not only are they exceptionally well coached, tactically set up beautifully, personnel staffed, front office is doing a bang up an amazing job. And so it's possible that and Hoffenheim play Bayern.
They do. I was just going to mention that. Yeah. So, I mean, say more points are dropped and Dortmund managed to kind of scrape through. I mean, Hoffenheim looked like a more likely title contender than Dortmund, really. I mean, if they can go and win at the Allianz as the FCA did just a couple of weeks ago, then who knows what can happen? Because Hoffenheim are just absolutely tearing up trees at the minute, aren't they? They really are. They are just playing so well. And, much to the chagrin of a lot of Bundesliga fans, and especially people in Germany, not particularly happy about that. But you've got to give, credit where credit's due. Like we were talking about, summer transfer window of the year, and they got it by a long distance, basically. They were the winners of that by a long distance. And pretty much all of their signings have come good. And they seem to be going from strength to strength, Hoffenheim as well. Another kind of routine 3-1 win over Union Berlin, where they just won that game so easily. I mean, take a look at Kramaric. If you want to talk about players reborn this season, he's yet another brace. He's kind of pulling it back like it's 2021 almost, Kramaric at the minute, isn't he? He's playing so well, but there's just a whole laundry list of players that are performing for them. Obviously Berger, who missed this game but was not really missed. Grisha Prömel has been superb. Kufal, who for me is one of the kind of unsung heroes of the season so far. It's just been, Lempele, Aslani, Damar. We've still yet to see really the best out of Damar, but I mean, they don't need him at the minute because they've got so many players doing well. But I mean, that's going to be a real good game, which we'll talk about more on the predictions, obviously, on Thursday ahead of this week. Other games we've got to mention, I mean, obviously Mainz's marquee win in Leipzig as well, Peter. And I think I looked at that game and I feel like I bottled it on the prediction. I said 2-1 Leipzig, but actually they haven't won there for 5 years now. Leipzig haven't beaten Mainz at home for 5 seasons now. It's always been a bit of a bogey fixture for them. And they just look like such a good side, really, Mainz, for me. They look like a good side. I mean, you're talking about managers who've come in and had a great impact. I mean, look no further than Urs Fischer. They've only lost 1 game out of 8 now, and they've won 3 of those games, 4 draws. And right from the first minute, he's had an instant impact to that club. And obviously his reputation, I guess, as a great Bundesliga manager has allowed them to bring in quality signings as well this window. And I mean, their season now looks like a different place altogether, Peter. And, the goal from Silas to win it, okay, you can question the Leipzig defending a little bit, but it was a wonderful strike, wasn't it? It actually reminded me a lot of his last Bundesliga goal when he scored that goal in the 4-0 win over Gladbach. I don't know if you remember that on his for Stuttgart. And it was also a kind of length of the field run, and he managed to finish the ball. And fantastic goal. Great to see him, a man that we've always really liked on this show. Especially Rory and I have always been a big Silas fan, and it's great to see him back among the goals. Any other results that really stood off the page for you, Peter, this weekend?
Oh, well, your boys, Augsburg, of course, winning against the relegation rival St. Pauli. Our boy Gregoric getting that brace. We touched upon that. Alexis Claude Maurice assisting on both goals as well. The fact that Alexis Claude Maurice is in good form again is huge for Augsburg. A wonderful little post-match interview too, where they taught him some local Bavarian Swabian dialect.
Yeah.
The Pessler von Gessler.
Yeah. He's a good lad, is Claude Maurice. He had a terrible start to the season, but he's well and truly come back. And I think also Giannoulis is back on form. There's key actors are playing well again for Augsburg, and hopefully when the injured Matsima comes back, they'll comfortably go back up into mid-table, and the Sandro Wagner disaster class will be well and truly banished to the history books in terms of the FCR. But I mean, things definitely looking a lot better in Bavaria and Schwabia at the minute, aren't they? And most people have probably backed them to stay up, along with Mainz 05 as well. Unfortunately, Werder, the team that you're looking at, really sinking down, and probably Wolfsburg as well, who were beaten in Köln as well, which was another sorry performance from Daniel Bauer's men. I mean, you're already questioning how long is Bauer going to get, really? Because, I mean, he's gone on a shocking run of form this year, hasn't he?
Well, we joked about. Remember, we were joking about him a little while, like how he looked like some guy who never ran a red light in his life, not even on an old road, and at 3 o'clock in the morning when nobody was looking. I mean, this guy, he's like the anti-Eugen Polanski.
Yeah,
and actually, Polanski not doing so hot either. So I mean,
no.
You might see these interim head coaches. That'll be the end of and then you'll never see another interim head coach appointed in the Bundesliga.
I mean, that's why Werder need to kind of take heed and just appoint a proper coach. No more PE teachers, please.
But Merlin Poulsen is doing a fantastic job. He is the penultimate.
He is true, very true. Yes. He is the ultimate PE teacher. Not quite Edin Terzic, but Edin Terzic is literally like the quintessential PE teacher turned football.
He is available, but
actually. That's a good point. Terzic, maybe Werder could do worse than Terzic.
I mean, Terzic was. I mean, he's just a Dortmund boy. I mean, it would be great if they could bring somebody local in. What's Claudio Pizarro doing these days?
That's true. The Peruvian German.
There you go.
Yeah, but definitely, yeah. I mean, some interesting results. Obviously, we've got a lot of big matches ahead of us as well. But yeah, today we just did a quick little roundup of what happened, but mostly focusing on transfers, and then obviously the Horst Steffen, and a little bit on the Albert Riera appointment as well at Frankfurt, which happened. We kind of touched on, which Peter's definitely not impressed with, but we'll have to see. I mean, not much impressive at all Eintracht at the minute, really, in terms of sporting performance or backroom, really, is there?
Well, I covered the Eintracht Leverkusen match, and I named my fellow Kaiserslautern native Robin Koch the man of the match because I think he did a really excellent job in that losing effort. How the hell Riera and Koch meshed is beyond. I mean, obviously Koch speaks excellent English because he plied his trade on the Isle there, but I don't know. I mean, well, we'll see. How does a hard Lautner boy mesh with this foreign presence? It's kind of interesting that like the German press is sort of coaxing Vieira. If you were on social media this weekend, you saw that they had like a little vocabulary list for him and stuff like that. It's really interesting. Germans, they don't do it's not like in England. I mean, in England, it's not uncommon at all for some Portuguese trainer to come in and take over a team, even though he doesn't speak. He hardly speaks a lick of English.
They often have translators for the first year or two, actually, with the media. I remember Pochettino, your very own US American trainer, actually. He came in. When he came in, he was speaking via a translator, I guess, for 3 or 4 years at Southampton, and even at the beginning of his Tottenham days as well.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's in Germany. It's really weird, and it brings up some Steve McLaren vibes because you remember
Steve McLaren, the Englishman with a Dutch accent. Yeah. yeah. I mean, England fans have got a lot to say about him as well. Talking of terrible national coach.
Didn't even know he was the national team head coach.
He was the worst in our history, to be honest. The worst national coach in our. They called him another good nickname for you. They called him the Wally with the Brolly. It was after he was seen when England's only time they haven't qualified for a major tournament, Euro 2008. He was the one who guided us through the qualification.
That's why I totally forgot about him. And I mean, the only thing that was memorable about him was that man, he had like this interesting hair island. You remember? It was just like this island of hair that
almost Friedrich Merz-esque, I think.
There you go.
Yeah. Great. Anyway, guys, that's all we got time for you anyway. But it's been a pleasure tonight. It's been a little bit of a different kind of review show, but yeah, definitely very much enjoyable. If you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to check us out, like, subscribe, and all of that kind of stuff. We're not only a YouTube channel as well, we're also a podcast. So don't forget to check out Spotify and Apple as well if you want to hear everything Bundesliga related. And we're also, as typical nowadays, on social media, on X, Instagram, and the like. So thanks again to Peter. It's been great. We had a double header for match week 20, haven't we? We did the predictions and the review together, which has been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you again on Thursday for the predictions ahead of match week 21 as well. So thanks, guys, for joining us. Thanks for your comments about Werder as well. That was an absolute pleasure to exchange interactions with you. And hope to see you again at some point when we'll talk about Werder and other Bundesliga teams in the future. So thanks a lot, guys. It was a pleasure. And we'll see you again on Thursday. Ciao, ciao, guys.